With the smell of sulfur still in the air this morning, I welcome you into Easy Rightsizing with Janine Bryant of Changing Spaces SRS. Good morning, the morning after, Janine.
Yes, good morning, Dale. Hello, we're all a little bleary-eyed, aren't we?
Yep, and I hope everyone hearing us this morning is safe from all the fireworks from the weekend. If 2020 has taught us anything, Janine, it's that change is the only constant in life, and we're still changing. Into the 7th month of this strange year. Been tough at times, been stressful for sure, and for some it's been downright scary. We all need a little help, a little bit of help at times getting through it all, and that's what we talk about every Sunday morning at this time. Getting through a big shift, a big change, and a usually stressful time in our life when we're helping either parents or a loved one, or even ourselves, for that matter, move either up or down in size.
Absolutely. You're so right, Dale. I mean, 2020 has shown us that change is inevitable, and something else that I have learned is that, unfortunately, we're not in control of everything. That has been kind of a tough lesson that I've had to learn, Dale, but that's something that we see all the time with our work with seniors here at Changing Spaces SRS. Our mission is that we help seniors and their families during times of transition. And here's the thing. Everyone is going to go through transition at some point or another, and lots of times many transitions throughout your life. So that change is really our only constant, and we can't run from it. We can't hide from it. And the best, most proactive thing that we can do is to control the controllables, right? And to ask for help for when we are going through that time of transition. And that is what Changing Spaces SRS is all about.
Helping clients and their families through times of change and transition. But asking sometimes can be the toughest part of this entire journey.
Absolutely. And something that I always tell clients is that, when you get to, if we are all lucky enough, right, we will all get old at some point if we're lucky enough to live that long. And when you have lived, 7 decades, 8 decades, 9 decades on this earth, just think about all the people in your life that you have helped, okay? Maybe you've raised kids, you've helped nieces and nephews, you've helped siblings, you've helped your own parents. And now it's okay to reach out and ask for help for yourself when you are going through a time of transition. So many of the clients that we work with are moving out of a home that they have been in for decades, for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and they're downsizing to a retirement community. And sometimes we work with clients who are going into assisted living because their health is at a point where they're not able to take care of a lot of their own daily living tasks, right? They need help dressing, or they need help bathing or feeding, and that's why they're going to assisted living. Sometimes we work with clients who have memory problems, and they're going into memory care. That is a scary time of transition, and it's difficult, and it's okay to ask for help. And sometimes that's hard because, and I'm just as guilty of it as the next person. Sometimes we want to be really self-sufficient. We're used to doing everything on our own and for ourselves and by ourselves. But we are all getting to a point someday where we're going to need help once again. It's kind of like the circle of life, Dale. I always liken it to raising young kids because I've got a couple young kids at home, and when they're young, they need so much help from others. And then we grow up and we become more independent. And then if we're lucky enough, like I said, we grow old, and then we become a little bit more dependent again.
I want to point out for listeners who are hearing us for the very first time on this conversation, Easy Rightsizing with Janine Bryant of Changing Spaces SRS, is that sometimes there can be paralysis by analysis. If you look at it as a whole, it becomes daunting. But where your staff come in at Changing Spaces SRS is the ability to focus on one step at a time, which is extremely helpful. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes I think that I feel called, and I visit with folks every single week who are struggling with this issue. It's a huge process, it's a huge project, and they're overwhelmed, and they can't
figure out where to start, or if they do start, they tend to focus on the wrong things, right? And so I get phone calls all the time, and people are asking about, well, where can I donate this? And how would you sell this item? And maybe they haven't even gone to the work of figuring out, where am I going to move to? Or what items do I want to keep? What items am I giving to my family members? And so that's why we break down a big process like that into 5 manageable steps. We call it the 5 steps of the right-sizing process. And that just helps our client kind of focus on one important task at a time, because when you try to focus on the whole big picture, it seems too overwhelming. And that's why, it's important to reach out and ask for help from a professional. This is literally our job. We do this 40 hours every single week, so we're pretty good at it. And when a client is going through a transition, like a move, and they haven't moved in decades, they're not an expert at it. And so it's okay to reach out for that expert helping hand, and then allow that expert to guide them through the right-sizing process, start to finish. I guarantee you we can make it so much easier if you only let us. So that's why it's important to reach out for help.
And that first successful step then leads to the second one, which isn't quite so daunting, then which leads to the next one, which is less daunting, and before you know it, you're there.
That's right. Yes, I always say we pride ourselves on taking our clients by the hand and walking with them through that process. One of my favorite quotes is from a philosopher, Ram Dass. He said, it's a famous one. I'm sure many of you folks have heard it, but it says, "We are all just walking each other home." And that is something that I truly believe that we're here on this earth to do. We are just here to walk each other home and walk each other through life and through its ups and downs. And that's really what we do at Changing Spaces SRS. And that's one of the reasons why my fantastic staff loves what they do so much, because most of them have been through this with their own family members, and they get it. They understand how difficult a transition like this can be. And so that's why they have committed to working for a company like Changing Spaces so that we can help clients through a successful transition and make things easier than they would be if you tried to go it alone.
Janine, have you ever taken time to figure how many closets you've cleaned out in your career?
Ooh, I love that. No, I haven't, but I'm going to. That would make a great statistic to share. So
because
I'm going to do that.
Here's the thought that's going through my mind. You mentioned someone who is now moving out of a house they've been in for decades, maybe raised their family there. That's the only closet they've ever looked into.
I know. And, that's the kind of thing, it can seem so daunting for someone to think about cleaning that out. And that's the kind of thing that just gets me excited. I can't wait to get in there. My fingers start itching, and I just can't wait to help them go through that. So, finding a vocation you love is all about putting your natural talents and abilities to work out in the world. And boy, that's what we're doing at Changing Spaces, because my team loves to do stuff like that. And because we have seen that it can help our clients so much. Sometimes, it's amazing what a clean closet can do for your mental health. It really is.
Because first it's the closet, then maybe it's under the bed, then maybe it's a dresser, and before you know, bed stands maybe on the side. Before you know it, the room is clean.
That's right. Yep. And then before you know it, it becomes clear to you to understand what you need and what you don't need. And that's really what we do at Changing Spaces. We help our clients understand, what do I need and what am I done with? What can I let go of? And we help them shed all that extra stuff that was weighing them down that they really didn't need anyway.
Limits, Janine. You're good about helping people set limits. Do I really need 5 teapots?
That's right. I just had someone reach out to me on social media this last week, and she's getting ready for a move. And she's a mom with 2 kids, but the kids are older now. And she said, I just found this whole box of baby blankets that family and friends made for my 2 kids. And what do I do with them? Do I hang on to them? It feels bad to get rid of them. And I said, put a limit on them. I suggested keep 1 blanket per kid and then let the rest go, right? So it's all about setting limits for yourself and then respecting those limits.
If you, again, referring to new listeners this morning, hearing us for the very first time, we have some websites where you can go, take your time, grab a cup of coffee, sit there on a Sunday morning at Changing Spaces SRS. There you will learn more about the services provided by Janine and her staff at Changing Spaces SRS. And if you'd like some free right-sizing tips, some videos, some resources, a different website, www.easyrightsizing.com. And if you're one of those folks that just likes to have a book in your hand, you are in luck. Janine, talk about your book, Ready to Right Size, a step-by-step guide to your right-sizing journey for older adults and their loved ones.
That's right. Yeah, it's been out for a little over a year now, and it's something that I've always wanted to do because throughout my career, 12 years here at Changing Spaces SRS, you get the same 25 questions over and over again, right? Because although we're all very different, we all very much struggle with the same issues when we are downsizing our home. So I put all of my best advice and knowledge to those 25 questions, the things I get asked over and over again, into book form. I distilled it down. It's a short book. There's no fluff. It's not going to take you long to read, probably an hour and a half to read. But I tell you, it's going to change your life if you are going through a right-sizing transition, because it's all the best advice in a clear, easy-to-follow format. And I designed it to be a step-by-step guide for people who are right-sizing. And it's available on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon.com and search for Ready to Right Size, you can find it there.
It's getting rave reviews. I was surprised at how slim the book was. Just concise and valuable information to consider is one review. I wish I would have had this practical and easy guide to read when my parents sold the family acreage last year. An excellent decluttering resource for any life stage. Just a few of the reviews of Janine's book, Ready to Right Size. Janine, thank you for the conversation, and we will talk next week.
Thank you, Dale.
Join us every Sunday morning on KFOR for Easy Right Sizing.